The rain poured like it wanted to wash the whole city away. Beneath a broken bus shelter sat a girl no older than 20, her clothes soaked, her trembling fingers clutching a torn blanket around her shoulders. Her name was Lila. She had no home, no family, and no hope left, just the endless drizzle of life's cruelty. As thunder cracked across the sky, a faint whimper pierced through the storm. Lila looked up and saw a small golden retriever, shivering violently under a rusted car, its fur plastered to its skin, eyes wide with fear. Without thinking twice, she crawled through the puddles toward it. The dog tried to back away, but her soft voice, shaking yet kind, coaxed it closer. She wrapped it in her blanket and held it against her chest, ignoring her own cold. That night, under the leaky shelter, she whispered, "You're not alone tonight, I promise. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of hearts that still care even when they have nothing, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your small gesture spreads hope in a world that desperately needs it." The next morning, the storm had passed, leaving the city washed and gleaming under a pale sun. Lila woke up to find the dog still curled against her, breathing softly. She smiled for the first time in days. She tore a piece of her bread crust from the food she had begged for last night and fed it to the dog. "You need it more than I do," she whispered. The dog's tail wagged weakly. Lila named him Sunny, because he reminded her of light, something she had almost forgotten existed. She carried Sunny with her that day as she wandered the city, searching trash bins for food and quiet corners for rest. People passed her with hurried steps, their umbrellas shielding them not just from the weather but from compassion itself. Some stared, some whispered, none stopped, but Lila didn't mind anymore. For the first time in months, she had something to care about, something that made her heart feel alive again. That night, as she sat behind an old bakery, feeding Sunny leftover bread, she thought about her past. How her mother's illness had drained everything they had. How, after her passing, the rent stopped being paid. How one by one, people she thought would help just disappeared. She remembered her last night in their small apartment, clutching her mother's photograph and promising she'd survive somehow. "I'll make you proud one day," she had whispered. But now, she wasn't so sure. Then, the next morning, everything changed. A sharp knock echoed against the metal door of the abandoned building where she was sleeping. Lila froze. No one ever came here. She gently pushed Sunny behind her, afraid it might be someone coming to chase her away. But when the door creaked open, a tall man stood there, drenched in a tailored suit, his eyes scanning the dark corners until they landed on her. Behind him stood a luxury car, and his driver held an umbrella. But the man himself was soaked, as if he hadn't cared to wait for cover. Lila's heart pounded. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm not trespassing, I'll leave." The man's eyes softened as Sunny barked and ran to him, tail wagging wildly. The man dropped to his knees and hugged the dog tightly, burying his face in its wet fur. "Sunny," he murmured, voice breaking. "I thought I lost you forever." When he looked up at Lila, there was gratitude, and something else, something deep, in his gaze. "You saved him." He introduced himself as Ethan Cole, CEO of Cole Enterprises. But that title didn't mean much to Lila, who barely understood why a man like him was standing in her world of ruins. All she saw was a father's relief, because as she soon learned, Sunny was not just his pet, but his little daughter's therapy dog. His daughter, Emily, had not spoken a single word since her mother died 2 years ago. But Sunny was her comfort, her reason to smile. When the dog went missing during the storm, Ethan had searched everywhere, desperate, broken. Lila stood silently as he spoke, unsure what to say. She hadn't done it for a reward. She had done it because she couldn't walk past pain anymore. "I'm just glad he's safe," she said quietly. But Ethan couldn't walk away after hearing that. He noticed the bruises on her hands, the worn-out shoes, the way she shivered under her thin coat. And for reasons he couldn't explain, he couldn't just leave her there. He asked her to come with him, at least to have a warm meal and some dry clothes. Lila hesitated, afraid it might be a trick or a dream. But something in his tone, gentle, genuine, made her trust him. At his mansion, the warmth almost made her cry. She hadn't felt heat like that in months. Ethan's house was beautiful, but it wasn't what struck her most. It was the little girl sitting by the window, her brown eyes dull and distant, her small hand clutching a stuffed toy. When Sunny ran to her, barking happily, the girl's eyes lit up instantly. She screamed the dog's name, the first word she had spoken in years, and ran into its fur. Ethan's breath caught. He looked at Lila with tears in his eyes. "You didn't just save a dog," he whispered. "You brought my daughter back." For the next few days, Lila stayed as their guest. Ethan insisted, saying he owed her that much. But Lila struggled with the feeling of being undeserving. She kept trying to help, washing dishes, cleaning, helping Emily feed Sunny. Ethan noticed the way Emily smiled whenever Lila was around, the way laughter slowly returned to the halls of his once silent home. Lila's kindness, quiet but steady, began to heal not just the girl, but Ethan himself, who had forgotten what compassion felt like. One evening, as snow began to fall, Lila stood in the garden, watching the flakes drift down. Ethan joined her, holding 2 cups of hot chocolate. He told her how he had grown up poor too, how success had come with loneliness, and how his daughter had become his only reason to keep going after his wife's death. He admitted he had stopped believing in good people, until her. Lila listened quietly. Then, for the first time in years, she spoke about her dreams. "I used to want to be a nurse," she said softly. "To help people who feel forgotten. But life, it had other plans." Ethan looked at her, seeing not a homeless girl, but a heart full of light that refused to dim. He made her a promise, not out of pity, but out of belief. "If you still want that dream, I'll help you get there." Months passed. With Ethan's help, Lila got her documents, her education, and eventually, her place in a nursing program. She worked hard, never forgetting the nights she'd spent in the cold. She still visited Ethan and Emily often, who now called her Aunt Lila. The bond they shared went beyond gratitude. It was family, born not of blood, but of kindness. One afternoon, during Emily's birthday party, Ethan raised a toast. "To the girl who reminded me that kindness can change everything. To Lila, who saved my family." Everyone clapped, but Lila's eyes were full of tears. "No," she said softly. "You and Emily saved me too. Sometimes, the universe hides miracles in rainstorms, and the people we least expect to matter end up changing our entire world." Lila didn't just rescue a dog. She rescued a father's hope, a daughter's smile, and her own lost faith in humanity. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, and share it. Subscribe to Whispers of Kindness so more people can be reminded that one act of compassion can change a life forever. Sparkle's special request. Tell us in the comments, what's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you? Your story might inspire someone to believe in kindness again.